Have you ever felt trapped in a situation that just doesn't line up with the dreams you carry? Or wondered why, despite your best intentions, those closest to you seem to misunderstand your purpose? Welcome to From the Pit to the Palace, the story of Joseph. I'm here to unpack one of history's most powerful stories, how a young dreamer survived betrayal, endured the pit, and rose to greatness. In today's episode, I'll walk you through Joseph's journey, from the highs of his dreams, through the depths of betrayal and false accusation, to the heights of unexpected promotion. Along the way, we'll break down technical terms like providence, the unseen hand-guiding events, and resilience, which is like spiritual muscle memory keeping you steady when life throws you off balance. So, what does it mean to go from pit to palace? Is the path to your purpose meant to be smooth, or is conflict actually the setup for your breakthrough? By the end, you'll see why your darkest moments might be the soil for your greatest harvest. Let's dive in and discover the journey from pain through perseverance to a destiny fulfilled. Let me tell you about Joseph, a 17-year-old who didn't just dream, but dreamed big. His visions weren't ego trips. They were glimpses of destiny, like seeing the trailer for a movie you're meant to star in. But here's the tension. Not everyone around you will celebrate that. Joseph's brothers were infected by envy, a slow-burning toxin that turns admiration into animosity. You might be thinking, why didn't Joseph keep his dreams to himself? But isn't it true sometimes sharing your vision only brings opposition? The conflict explodes. His brothers strip him of his Technicolor coat, a status symbol, like a badge of honor ripped away, and throw him into a pit. For them, it was just a hole in the ground, but for Joseph, it felt like the graveyard of promise. So, here's the core lesson. The pit isn't the end, it's a test. Think of it as pre-season training, painful, hidden, but essential for what's coming. Remember, you can toss someone into a pit, but you can't cancel destiny. That's the paradox of purpose sometimes. What looks like rejection is actually redirection. Now picture this. Joseph arrives in Egypt, stripped of status, sold like property. Most would lose hope, maybe even identity. But Joseph chooses excellence over excuses. He serves in Potiphar's house, and here's where integrity, a kind of inner compass, becomes the real star. If character is like rebar in concrete, Joseph's was unbreakable. When his master's wife tries to seduce him, he faces both temptation and a loyalty crisis. Maybe you've thought, after what I've suffered, don't I deserve a shortcut? But Joseph refuses. He asks, how can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? That's conviction in action. It's like a computer firewall, protecting his soul from malware that could corrupt his future. He doesn't just stand his ground, he runs. Sometimes, courage means fleeing a trap rather than fighting it head on. So, when you face your own test, will you let pain rewrite your principles, or will you let your principles reshape your pain? Joseph shows us that excellence and integrity always leave a mark, even in hidden seasons. Let's shift to the next setting. Joseph does the right thing, then lands in prison, framed by a lie. Have you ever experienced that sting? You play by the rules, but life still throws a curveball. In prison, Joseph could have grown bitter, but here's where we see the power of adaptability, a word we usually reserve for technology, but crucial for the soul. Joseph adapts by serving others, interpreting dreams for fellow inmates. It's like being a light in a blackout, refusing to let darkness define you. Now, someone might argue, if goodness doesn't protect you, why bother? But Joseph's story flips the script. His favor wasn't tied to his location. It was a covering, like a protective blanket that even prison walls couldn't strip away. Here's the conflict: doing good but seeing no reward. Yet Joseph's kindness and resilience, another technical term, think of it as emotional elasticity, carried him through. Resolution comes quietly. Even in darkness, Joseph's roots were growing deeper, preparing him for a future he couldn't yet see. Sometimes, your prison is a greenhouse for greatness. Joseph interprets dreams for two fellow prisoners. And finally, there's a glimmer of hope. One is restored to the palace. Joseph pleads, "Remember me," but then silence. 2 whole years of waiting. We all know the agony of the waiting room, whether for news, breakthrough, or recognition. It's a liminal space, like buffering between 2 streaming videos, frustrating, seemingly unending. You might ask, why does God allow these delays? But here's the twist. Delay is not denial. The setup is subtle, but essential. The stage isn't ready. The timing, not quite right. The technical term here is kairos, a Greek word meaning the right, opportune moment. God's timing isn't seconds and minutes, it's moments that matter. Joseph's silence prepared him for an audience he couldn't earn on his own. So, if you feel forgotten, remember, the waiting season is not wasted. Sometimes, the greatest miracles are born in the shadows of delay. And then, the sudden shift. One day, Pharaoh is troubled by dreams no one can interpret. Joseph is remembered, called out of obscurity. Imagine the tension. One moment a prisoner, the next standing before the most powerful man in Egypt. Joseph doesn't seize the spotlight for himself. He credits God the ultimate power move, humility in action. He interprets Pharaoh's dreams, 7 years of abundance, followed by 7 of famine. This is strategic foresight, a kind of crisis management plan, like a nation prepping for a recession. Pharaoh promotes Joseph on the spot. In one day, his status flips from convict to prime minister, a transformation only providence can orchestrate. Here's your takeaway. When your preparation meets God's timing, doors swing open nobody can shut. Are you ready for your palace moment? Years pass. The famine hits. Joseph's brothers, those who betrayed him, arrive in Egypt, desperate for help. The dream Joseph once saw is now reality. His brothers bow before him, unaware they're fulfilling destiny. Now, Joseph holds all the cards. He could retaliate, but instead he chooses forgiveness, a radical act. Like rebooting a system infected by old viruses. He utters the iconic words, "What you meant for evil, God turned for good." That's the essence of redemption. Pain repurposed, not wasted. It's emotional alchemy, turning wounds into wisdom. You might think, would I have forgiven? Here's the challenge. True power isn't payback. It's the ability to release, to rewrite the narrative with grace. Joseph's story closes the arc. He doesn't just rise, he redeems all he's lost. That's the final masterpiece of purpose in motion. As we close, let's distill Joseph's journey into 3 key truths. First, your pain is not pointless. Second, your trials refine, not define you. Third, your delays are often divine setups, not denials. So what's your next step? Check your attitude in adversity. Guard your integrity, even when no one's watching. Like Joseph, let resilience think of it as spiritual elasticity pull you back from discouragement. Let me ask, are you in your pit, your prison, or your waiting room? If you're tempted to give up, hear this. God is still writing your story. The palace moment, the breakthrough, is closer than you think. Next episode, we'll unpack how to develop vision in adversity and steward influence without letting power corrupt your purpose. You won't want to miss it. Before you go, share this with someone who needs hope. Remember, you carry greatness. Don't let your current situation make you forget it.